Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that the notice of meeting has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551. We will now adjourn into budget workshop. So go ahead and call this meeting to order since everyone got quiet. I'd like to welcome everybody back from our workshop earlier today and reconvene our regular meeting. If you would please rise for the invocation and pledge. Dr. Warren.
All right, folks, if you feel comfortable doing so, please pray with me. Our dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day, and Lord, just thank you for allowing us to come here tonight for our meeting, and Lord, just be with us in our meeting as we do our business. Lord, thank you for allowing us to be such a part of such a fantastic school district. Just bless us tonight and see us all safely home. Lord, above all things else, we ask you to just provide your love, your wisdom, your guidance, and your protection to our children. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, guys, we've got the Sada family represented tonight from Beck Elementary School. We have first grader Tatum. Wave at everybody, Tatum. There you go. And we have their mom, Jill. Jill is here. Where are you, Jill? There we go. Thanks for coming. Tatum is a first grader. His favorite subject is math and art. Very good, Tatum. He likes to play lacrosse, ride his bike, and hunt with Dad. Very good, Tatum. This is what Mr. Conklin says about Tatum at Beck Elementary School. Tatum is a great role model for his classmates. He works hard and cares for others. He can brighten up the room with his smile. Let's see it. There we go. There we go. He is a true blue. All right, and then his big brother, and he and I share something in common. This is Ryder Sada. Great name. His favorite subject is reading and music. Very good, Ryder. And he likes lacrosse, building Legos, and reading World War II history. There we go. Mr. Graswich, there we go. Ryder is a great young man who exhibits the true blue. He is kind to others. He is respectful toward his teachers. He understands the importance of hard work, and he always does his best. So, guys, thank you very much for being here. If you guys will turn to the flags, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag and then the Texas flag. Go ahead, guys.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Fantastic.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, indivisible, with liberty.
Really good. Guys, stay right there. We've got a little present for you.
Thank you, guys. Let's move on down to the recognitions. Dr. Warren.
All right, Mrs. Conklin, are we ready to recognize? Yes, we are. Mr. Schluter.
Okay, if you're leadership NISD graduates, please make your way over to the front by Jerry. First, I'd like to ask Tim McClure and Sarah Stewart to come to the front. Northwest ISD's Eaton High School received the Caudell Class recognition in the annual Exhibit of School Architecture competition facilitated by the Texas Association of School Administrators and the Texas Association of School Boards. This is the highest honor available for a school's design. Eaton High School was selected for exemplifying excellence in community planning, transformation, design, value, and sustainability. Okay, and next we are recognizing emerging leaders in our school community. These parents and community leaders have participated and completed the 9-month Leadership NISD program that takes participants behind the scenes for an in-depth look at Northwest ISD. The Leadership NISD program was created 10 years ago, and monthly sessions focused on specific areas of district operations and departments to allow participants to engage in a year-long dialogue with the school district. It's our privilege this evening to present the Leadership NISD class of 2016-2017. Each participant will receive a lapel pin designed to signify excellence in leadership. As I call your name, please come forward. Laura Allen. Tracy Bauerfein. Angie Buffkin. Ann DeCapit. Brian Drighi. Sean Finney. Guadalupe Garcia. Angela Jolly. Kara Looney. Pamela Ninman. Sheila Samaro. Jill Saida. Jen Smith. Tara Sprinkle. Crystal Torres. Christy Vircher. Jennifer Wells. Karen Williams. And Crystal Zert. You're fine. And that's all for recognitions this evening.
Now, leadership members, y'all are more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but we understand.
Okay, we should be down to public participation. Is there any? No. That moves us down to consent agenda. Board members?
Mr. President,
Ms. Cobb?
I move to approve the consent agenda as submitted. Second.
A motion has been made by Ms. Cobb, seconded by, was you, Devonna? Ms. Holland? All those in favor?
Mr. Sluter, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
And it's just a question for item D. And I needed clarification. I know we are asking for a waiver for foreign exchange students, but I didn't know how many foreign exchange students we typically have. Is it a large number or?
6 per campus.
6 per campus. Per semester, okay. And that would be the
Except for steel.
Yes.
And then it's 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
and that would match what we currently have right now. Thank you.
Anything else? All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Please note that Mr. Fuller is not present. This is down to the discussion action items under A. Proposed medical premiums 2017-2018 plan, year-end district contribution. Dr. Warren?
Board, you received this presentation last board meeting from Dr. Cayley and from Kitty. We did a great job on page 48, 49, and 50 of your packet. You had the recommendations that Kitty rolled out. Kitty, any other comments about the recommendations?
No, sir. I did want to provide you with the information regarding the number of spouses that we have on our plan.
That was a question from last time.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. There are 63 total spouses, and those would not be district couple spouses. Those would just be employees who either had employee and spouse or an employee and family coverage. And again, the spousal surcharge is only for individuals who do not have coverage at their employers. We have several individuals whose spouses are self-employed, therefore they don't have coverage. They could have students, their significant other, their spouse could be in college, so they would not be impacted. It would only be those individuals that would pay the $100 per month if they did not have access to their coverage through their employer.
Board, I would recommend approval.
Mr. President,
Mr. Wright?
move to approve the proposed medical premiums and other medical benefits as recommended by the administration.
Second.
A motion has been made by Mr. Wright, seconded by Dr. Simpson. That's what I heard first. The motion as read. Is there any further discussion on this item? All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Ms. Baylor. Moving down to 10B, consider a resolution at Northwest ISD approving and ratifying the district's entering into a contract to purchase land in Tarrant County, Texas, Triple T Farms Limited. Dr. Warren.
Board, the voluminous amount of information on our purchase of the Laterra land begins on page 51 in your packet. Mr. McClure and his staff have done a fantastic job working with the developers and working with the community of Haslett on this, and it's been quite a while that we've been working on this. I would recommend that you purchase 155 plus or minus acres for $5.349862 million. I would recommend approval.
Mr. President,
Mr. Wright.
move to approve the resolution of Northwest ISD approving and ratifying the districts entering into a contract to purchase land in Tarrant County, Texas from Triple T Farms Ltd. as recommended by the administration.
Second.
A motion has been made by Mr. Wright, seconded by Ms. Kopp for the motion as read. Any further discussion on this item? All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you, Board.
It is a beautiful site, and it'll be a
Good place.
part of our district.
Yeah, good work, Tim.
This is down to 10C, the 2017-2018 compensation plan. Dr. Warren.
Board, this is your introduction to the 17-18 compensation plan. This is one of the more important decisions you make each year on how to compensate our staff members. So Dr. Cayley has your presentation, and it begins on page 525 in your packet.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you. When we start looking at our salary
This, of course, does support Strategic Goal 2. It helps us to recruit and retain those exceptional teachers in our classroom. And some of the things that we take into consideration is our pay increase history. So this is just a look at the pay increases that we have offered our employees for the past 5 years. Some other things that we do take into consideration is data. We look at our retention data. Are we losing certain groups of teachers? Why are we losing them? We also take into consideration our medical plan premiums. If those costs go up, then we need to try to compensate that with our salary increase. And then, of course, pay trends and market analysis. And this is just some interesting facts that are some throughout the state of Texas. There are 300 districts that have a starting salary that is greater than or equal to $40,000 a year. The median starting salary for a teacher in the state is $40,017. The highest starting salary is $54,500. And the average teacher pay increase last year was 2.5%, and there was a 5% jump in the starting teacher salary across the state. One thing that you have in your packet is also a survey. Brenda Withers did a survey through TASB. She created some questions and sent it out there, and we actually had 336 districts across the state that participated. And 76% plan on giving a pay raise to their employees this upcoming year. And the median pay raise for Region 11, which is where we are, and also across the state, they're all looking at 2%. And that's also comparable when we looked at districts that are our size with the student enrollment. They're also looking at 2% pay increase. UEA does a really good job of putting together this comparison of teacher salaries each year, and you've got the full spreadsheets in your packet. The first page is looking at teachers with a bachelor degree, and the second page is teachers with a master's degree. So here, this is for teachers coming in. You can see at the top, 0 years of experience, 5 years of experience, and we have highlighted Northwest in yellow, the yellow box. And so you can see this year our starting teacher salary, we are tied for 5th place. We moved down a spot. Last year we were tied for 4th with 4 other districts. HEB, you saw that $54,500. That is the highest starting salary in the state, so it's at HEB. The red arrow is if no one else gave a raise next year and we gave a 2% raise, that is where we would fall. Some other things, we don't just look at teacher salaries to see how we compare. We also look at different employee groups and positions. So TASB is Texas Association of School Boards, and we're able to go in and pull reports on all different kind of positions. This one is a special ed paraprofessional, and you can see that at the top our market group was 59 districts, and you can see even the median duty days. Ours is 187. The bar on the right, the bottom right-hand column, blue is our district, and our median hourly rate is $14.82, which is about $1.18 higher than what the comparison group, our market median, is. But again, we kind of do this all throughout the year. We check our positions to make sure that we're remaining competitive with other areas and in our market. And this doesn't, you can't see the full sheet on this, but this will even list out all 59 districts and the student enrollment, so we can really go in and compare those areas that are near to us, that compete with us for employees, and also ones that align with our student enrollment. Our goal, of course, is to remain competitive and keep our great teachers and recruit new ones. These are just different raise scenarios for you to consider. We did build a 2% salary increase into our budget. With each 0.5% increase, that is a budget impact of $651,001.34. This is just a list of the proposed teacher hiring schedule. With a 2% salary increase, our beginning teacher salary would be $53,000. I do want to point out this is for teachers coming in new to the district. So it would be a 10-year teacher with 10 years of experience would come in to our district at $55,750. Last year there were questions about what are we doing for our teachers that are in Northwest ISD? Do they get a little bit added benefit? And they do. For being part of the district, they have the benefit of seeing those salary increases that we provide. So Brenda kind of broke this down for teacher with NISD for 5 years. You can see what that salary is compared to somebody coming in with 5 years of experience. So for a teacher with 5 years, there's about a $2,100 difference increase for a teacher that had been with us those years. 15 years, the difference is about $3,500. And again, our proposal, our recommendation is for a 2% salary increase, and the budget impact would be $2,604,005.36. This is a discussion item tonight, and I am happy to answer any questions.
I just had a comment. I wanted to thank you for that last chart showing what we do for our teachers that have been here in Northwest. I appreciate seeing that. Appreciate you putting that together, Mrs. Withers.
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Cayley, I would like to mention that the 2% that we're offering pales in comparison to how much we appreciate our teachers. And I was reading the paper the other day where one of the Wise County schools decided to go 3%, and it was going to be a whopping $137,000 hit to their budget. And, you know, we're talking about magnitude, orders of magnitude, but one of these days when we start to level off with our student population growth and we get all built out, maybe we can start reinforcing that and get up top, closer to the top of the scale. Not that that makes that much difference, but just to show we appreciate our teachers so much.
Right.
Any other questions, board members? Thank you, ma'am. Oh.
Thank you.
Just a comment. I do appreciate, as Mr. Wright said, seeing where our teachers are that have been here 5 years or 10 years. And again, I think it's so important that we look at our teachers that are experienced and that we think about ways that we can recognize their work. So I hope we'll continue to look at that and can come back with something that would help lift where those folks are, because I think they're extremely valuable. So I would just encourage us to continue to look at that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cayley.
Thank you.
And moving on down to item number D, the staffing for the 2017-2018 school year. Dr. Warren.
Board, on page 551 begins your look at the staffing patterns. We, of course, just went over this during the budget workshop. Your staffing request, this is the second staffing request, and this is broken down into several different departments. First, the district reorganization, curriculum and instruction, and financial services, maintenance, facilities and planning, technology, then the information on stipends and additional campus personnel. And then, of course, we've also given you the hierarchy of these, the importance of these things. You know, green are the ones that we truly identify as needs. The yellow are the ones that are truly needed and wanted, but not as much as the greens, and then the reds are represented, those positions are represented, those that we already have cut, and we know budget cuts are going to be part of our future. And so, as I said in the budget workshop, I'm very pleased with staff on how they've worked hard on identifying the differences between needs and wants. I've been very pleased with the conversations that I've had. Dr. Cayley?
Yes. So as we've been discussing in budget workshop, the second staffing request is a further analysis of what we're needing in departments, instructional programming needs, and even some additional campus personnel that we did not, that's come up with some unanticipated growth. We have been discussing these in detail. This is a summary of the new positions that are being requested by each department and the budget impact for each. As we talked about tonight, this actually has decreased Actually, that is the correct amount right there. So $986,014 for new positions. And then reclassifications that we've been discussing total $277,160. And our stipend recommendations, these are broken out by fine arts and academic student services, total $92,750. And this is just a grand total, $1,355,924.
Kim, that was the number that's changed from their packet, the 1.3.
Correct, yes. Yes, what's up here is actually accurate like we discussed tonight. There were 2 positions that we were able to take off of this list. And again, this is a discussion item tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about our second staffing request.
I have a question.
Sure.
Is this number directly proportional to the number of students that we're adding? So in other words, if you took the number of students compared to last year, projecting those to next year, how would that ratio fall with staffing to student ratio?
I'd have to look at that. I mean, I know we've stayed pretty steady with the increase in student enrollment each year. It's about 1,100, Tim, each year, pretty much. We stayed pretty consistent with that. I do know that this second staffing request, I believe, is significantly lower than our second staffing request last year.
Just thought I'd throw a pop quiz question out there for you.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yes.
And I think it was really helpful in the workshop to know how these positions will be used, because I do think it's really more about how they're going to impact student learning and what we're going to see as a result, rather than the number of people or the dollar amount. So I think more information, as much as we can get to understand how this is going to really impact and support our children's learning, is very helpful. Thank you.
$600,000. Great job, Dr. Cayley.
Thank you, Dr. Cayley.
Thank you.
Moving down to 10E. Also a discussion action, not a discussion item. Yes, sir, you are correct. Consider adoption of an order authorizing the issuance of unlimited tax school building bonds, establishing sale parameters, authorizing the execution of a purchase contract, approving an official statement, and enacting other provisions related to this subject. Dr. Warren.
Board, we're coming to the end of our 08 and 12 bond funds. So, Mr. Graswich?
Yes, essentially that's what we're looking at is $100 million in issuances. We had $260 million was the 08 election, and we've issued previously $215 million, which leaves $45 million to be issued. The 12 election had $255 million voted, $200 million has been previously issued, so there's $55 million still to issue there. So this 45 and 55 closes both those out in terms of issuances. Of course, there's still the construction to be done, but that would be for $100 million. There's a list of the amortizations to date. This goes back to 09. We generally have issued debt every year except for this last year, 16, but 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. We've issued between $45 and $75 million a year. At this point, what we're going to do is what's called a parameter order is what we're going to ask you to do, and that is we won't actually on the 22nd issue the debt. What we will ask you for is permission for myself or Dr. Warren to sign off under certain agreed to parameters set by the board to execute the contract. And that would be for a maximum principal amount of $100 million, a maximum true interest cost of 4.75%, and this would be good for 180 days. The final maturity date on the debt would be 2042. And essentially what we'll do then is go out and look at the market and as soon as the market looks favorable, and at this point it continues to look favorable, so we'll probably turn around and do it relatively quickly, go ahead and authorize the issuance of the debt. We're looking at the team is Jeff Robert is our financial advisor with First Southwest and has been so now for, about 15 years. And then Bosky is actually it's BOK now, they've changed their name. But Bill Gumbert will be the senior manager with a 40% participation, Raymond James, RBC Capital Markets, and Piper Joffrey for 20% each. The one thing that is new to the team is the addition of the fourth underwriter, Piper. Essentially, talking with Jeff, when we're going out above $80 million or to $100 million, we haven't done a $100 million debt issuance in a long, long time. I think the largest to date out of either of these issues was $75 million. But going up to $100 million, we felt that it might be prudent to add a fourth underwriter to amortize risk across the underwriting and present a little more competition in soliciting bids for our debt and hopefully keep our interest rates just a touch lower than they would be otherwise. So this is a new firm. Essentially what we did was what we've always done, which is we have over the years reorganized our underwriters. We asked for a list of all the Texas underwriting firms, and then we pick from the top 5, or the top ones actually, and usually the order will vary from time period selected, but you'll see First Southwest, RBC, BOK, RBC, and Piper are always in the top 5 or so. And so we try to avoid New York firms because generally speaking they are less interested in underwriting and want they want the whole enchilada, or they're just not going to be as interested, to be blunt about it, as some of the others. And so these have all been we also monitor the performance of all of our firms. RBC is, of course, an international firm, but it's the old Ralph Shapir's firm that's kind of grown up through the years. And we do monitor their performance as long with the whole underwriting team regularly. And they've done a good job for us. Our bond ratings, of course, this would be guaranteed by the Permanent School Fund, which is AAA. We have underlying ratings of AA by Fitch and AA2 by Moody's, which is about 2 notches down from AAA. That's a very excellent rating. Essentially, there's some in your paperwork is some Fitch ratings, key rating drivers, talking about the economic resource database, revenue framework, expenditure framework, long-term liability burdens, and the operating performance of the management team. Essentially, just giving a quote, the district has navigated the strong growth environment through management's commitment to conservative budgeting practices, which the Board of Trustees is part of the management we're talking about. In the future, management will be challenged to maintain operational balance with the expiration of certain state program monies, ASSETAR, and growth-related spending pressures. However, Fitch believes the district is well positioned to meet these challenges. Reserves are robust and provide ample cushion in the case of an economic downturn. So this is the information we're providing out there on this. We have the schedule attached to the agenda item on who we were looking at in terms of Raymond James, RBC Capital, Piper, and BOK. And then, Jeff, do you have any why don't you come over here? Do you have any additional comments on the issuance itself? Essentially,
Board, any questions?
Yeah.
I have a question for John or Jeff.
Yeah, go on.
So if we're adding a fourth underwriter, how much does that cost versus what we intend to recoup from the additional resources?
They work on a fixed fee basis on the securities that are sold, so it won't add any additional cost to us. It'll be on the securities itself.
It's just like splitting a pie. Instead of 3 pieces of pie, it'll be 4 now.
Oh, gotcha.
But it's still just one pie.
We don't have to pay any more.
Good deal.
I will just say that as John mentioned, interest rates are still very favorable. They came up after the election in November, but they've come down a little bit. So, if we were to sell right now on a 25-year basis, we'd probably be looking at about 4%, maybe just under. So that's still, from a historical perspective, a very favorable interest rate for a 25-year issuance.
We looked at the pro forma in the meeting earlier at the workshop. We went through the debt performance on this. And everything looks very favorable at this time.
Any other questions, board members?
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
That was a discussion item, Mr. Schluter.
Yes, sir. Thank you for reminding me of that. 10F is to consider an order calling bonds for redemption and other matters relating to Northwest Independent School District Unlimited Tax School Building and refunding bond series 2008. Dr. Warren.
Board, one thing that I've gained knowledge of in the district since I've been here, John and his staff and our partners, they do a wonderful job really tracking our numbers and trying to find the ways to save our taxpayers as much funds as we can. And F under our discussion items is again another way that we're going to refund and see some significant savings in the future. John?
Yeah, the administration has worked with First Southwest. This is going to be a little different. In the past, we've done what's called a refunding. And in 2015, we did 3 of them, and in 2016, we did 2 of them. And essentially, it's kind of like refinancing the mortgage on your house with a lower interest rate, except technically it's different, but it has the same net effect. The bottom line of all that is we saved the taxpayers of the district $76,863,000 by taking advantage of lower interest rates. Now, in this case here, it's a relatively small 2008 issue. I think there's $4.1 million of currently callable principal with an interest rate of 4.81%. Now, one of the things we've done over the years is we've accumulated some fund balance in the debt service fund. And that money can only be used to pay for debt. And so it can't be used for operational or construction purposes. And we've had it in there in case we needed to buy down the tax rate, because we said we wanted to stay at a certain INS tax rate, and if the debt came in higher, then we would use some of that fund balance to basically buy it down and hold the tax rate constant. Well, in this case here, by spending $4.1 million out of there, we have an excess of $22 million in that fund. We will end up basically reducing our debt service by $6.1 million and saving the taxpayers $1.9 million is the upshot of the whole deal. So by doing this defeasance or calling in of this debt and not issuing any new debt, the bottom line is we'll save $1.9 million. There is no underwriting involved in this because it's just a call of the debt and a payoff in essence. So it's like we're paying off our mortgage early and saving the interest costs. Be happy to answer any questions on that.
Board members always enjoy saving money, Mr. Graswich, so thank you.
Yeah.
Moving down to item number 11, which is reports. It's the Bob Templeton Show with the demographics report. Dr. Warren.
And Mr. Templeton, we're very glad to see you here tonight. So, Mr. McClure, please.
Yes. Good evening, Board. As Dr. Warren just referenced, Bob had a minor fender bender last week, so we were not sure if he's going to make it, but we're glad he's here and well. And of course, we'll bring you the first quarter 17 demographic report as we excited to hear about our continued growth, right? Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President and Board members. Superintendent Warren, it is my pleasure to be with you tonight. Tonight, I'll briefly touch on the economic conditions that we're continuing to see around the DFW area. We'll talk about the housing market, and we'll talk about the enrollment projections. Well, as you're well aware, and I've mentioned this for several quarters, the DFW region continues to be one of the strongest regions in the country for job growth. In fact, our job growth is still well over 3%, which is over 100,000 jobs annually that are being created. Locally, we're really starting to see the surge in retail along the 114-35 corridor. You know, the Whataburger's already open, Chick-fil-A's next, and those Tanger shops will be coming soon. And so that 114 corridor is really a very hot spot right now. 114 is also continuing to see very strong major office, major campus. Those are some significant jobs that are being created. I will have a more detailed look around the job growth specifically to Northwest. This is kind of a general look, but I think it's important for us to bring to you at the next quarter just the real growth that's happening in the Northwest School District related to jobs. The housing market is continuing to perform very well. This is year-to-date home sales for the DFW region is up about 5%. And the Northwest market is also seeing a surge recently in home starts. The only concern with the housing market is the prices are continuing to move up at a very strong rate. So the cost of new homes are going up dramatically. And that's a concern in that it affects the affordability for the younger families. So we're starting to be concerned about how that's going to impact our yields across the district because the housing is getting so expensive. Northwest is ranked 4th in the DFW region for school districts based on annual closings. What you'll notice is Frisco's number 1, but Frisco's about to drop off the number 1 spot. I predict they'll drop off the number 1 spot next quarter. Prosper's going to jump into the number 1 spot. Within about 2 years, Frisco's going to drop down that top 5 spot, and Northwest is going to continue to move up and probably be in the 3rd, possibly 2nd. It's going to be a close race between you and Denton ISD because they have a significant number of vacant developed lots and futures as well. But you can see your future lot count is the highest number of futures in the DFW region. So I don't know that you're going to jump to number 1, but you're definitely going to be in the top 3 within the next quarter to 2 quarters. I mentioned we've seen a surge in Northwest ISD. We had 484 starts in the first quarter, which that's the highest number that we've seen, probably going all the way back to about 2006. So in the previous home boom, we're now up to some of those kinds of numbers in new home starts. It was really the results of about 4 to 5 subdivisions that caused that number to shoot up about 100. It was Berkshire. It was some new lots that caused the Champions Circle to start building new homes again. Sendera Ranch also had a surge because they had a lot shortage. 17 Lakes and El Dorado, I think, El Dablo, I'm getting that wrong, mispronouncing it. But there was another one that also had a surge in the last quarter that caused that number to jump up over 100 starts from the first quarter of 2016. Here's a thematic map based on your elementary attendance zones, annual closings. Of course, the Justin has jumped up into the red. You know, it's a result of those homes that are being built in Harvest and Canyon Falls. So those two neighborhoods, very strong activity that's in the, I think, actually Canyon Falls is in the Roanoke Elementary and Harvest is in the Justin zone. But then you've got several elementary zones that are building between 100 and 200 annual closings. You can see it's the Nance, Haslett, it's Cox, Beck, Roanoke. We've got several elementary zones that are building more than 100 homes a year. Here's where the vacant developed lots are. The highest concentration of vacant developed lots are located in those red elementary attendance zones. These are the zones that are also going to be growing very strongly over the next couple of years because that's where the lots are. Of course, you can see number 1 is Cox with 337 vacant developed lots. We've listed all of the elementaries and their lot supply so you can see it's Nance with 298, Justin 249, Hatfield 227, and Roanoke 202, Haslett 176. All those elementary zones have plenty of lots to be building homes for the next couple of years. Futures got a little bit of a consistent pattern going where Justin has the highest number of futures. That's 6,090 future lots in the Justin Elementary Attendance Zone. And then second is Hatfield with 4,910. Haslett has 3,451. And then Schluter with 3,447. Sendera Ranch, 3,415. So you've got roughly 5 elementary zones that have more than 3,000 future lots. So you can see that pattern. It's working its way up through the center of the district, south all the way up through the 35 quarter up into the Justin Elementary Zone. This is that same data, but it's in a table form based on the housing data at the elementary level, and it just gives you another way to look at the data so that you can see most active, Justin with 286 annual starts, Cox with 258, and Nance with 251. I won't spend a whole lot of time on this, but this is something you can keep looking at in the future. This map really tells the story. This is all of the active subdivisions. Those green neighborhoods are building homes right now. Those yellow ones are some futures that will be coming to the district. You can see there's about 1,900 lots available for builders to build on, and we're building about 1,500 to 1,600 annually right now. So that's just a little bit over a year's supply of lots. So that lot supply is a little tight. But as I also mentioned earlier, we've got 30,000 futures in those yellow neighborhoods that will be delivering additional lots in the next couple of years. Groundwork is underway on more than 2,000 lots within the district, and about 507 of those are in the Willington neighborhood. We are still watching multifamily. Of course, as you know, the multifamily impact is not near as big as the single family, but we've got, a handful of multifamily projects. Some of those are senior complexes that won't have a student impact, but we'd like to keep those in front of you so that if you're asked questions about an apartment complex, you can identify that, well, it's a senior complex that won't have kids. There's about 7 of those complexes. As I mentioned, I believe 2 of those are senior or elderly complexes that would have a 0 impact on students. Both of those are in the Haslett Elementary Attendance Zone, but we do have some market rate units that will be impacting the district. This Vera Presidio, about 312 units. It's not tax credited. It will have a higher rent rate, and that will impact the district this spring and this summer, and that's in the Peterson Elementary Zone. We've also got 250 units, the Byron Trophy Club. Its initial groundwork has started. It should impact the district in 2019. Also, it will be a lower yielding apartment complex because of the rent rates, but it will likely impact the Lakeview Elementary Zone in 2019. Now here's a look at the enrollment projections. This past October, we grew about 1,071 students, which put our enrollment in October at about 22,047 students. You'll notice the yellow is the largest grade per year, and that currently is in 4th grade. The second largest class is the 10th grade class with 1,778 students. You'll notice we've seen a little bit of a slowdown in kindergarten. I think I've mentioned this before. That's a result of the slowdown in birth rate that has happened across the country. In fact, the state of Texas total kindergarten enrollment was negative this year again for the second year in a row, and we've not seen that in over 30 years. We do think that's going to change a little bit for Northwest because the sheer number of families moving to the area is what is going to drive up your kindergarten enrollment next year to about 1,700. The 5-year enrollment growth for the district is about 6,330. That'll put your enrollment in 2021 at 28,377 students. In 10 years, we could be looking at about 13,264 students of growth. That'll put you at 35,311 students. And I know you recently passed a bond election to help take care of this growth that is going to be coming your way. I think I've mentioned this before. It's really not a matter of if these projections are going to happen. It's just a matter of when. It's a matter of are they going to accelerate a little bit because of the increase in the housing. We are starting to see more competition for students. The charters are changing. Historically, we only saw charters in economically disadvantaged areas, and as you know, recently those charters have reached up into Keller, Northwest. The International Leadership Academy is opening up an elementary school in the middle of the Eagle Mountain Saginaw School District. They're going to be opening a high school in the Northwest School District. And so this impact of the charters is something we're watching very closely because it's a change in their philosophy about going up into areas like Northwest, Keller, Plano, Eagle Mountain, Saginaw, and historically we saw them in the Dallas ISDs, Fort Worth ISDs, Arlington ISD, but now this international leadership is a different breed of charter. At your campus level, I'll point out one mistake that's in the capacity. It's the I believe it's the Thompson Elementary. That capacity is actually 850 instead of 650. So that yellow is taken care of up till about 2021. But the recent passing of your bond election will help to alleviate this overcrowding that's going to be coming to your elementary schools. What you'll notice is we've got about 10,500 students in elementary school right now, and by 2021 we'll have about 13,500 students. So you can see that's a growth of almost 3,000 elementary students in a 5-year period. At the secondary level, we've got several middle schools that'll be, yes.
On the district excluded, put that up.
We have that one marked, yes.
We had to correct it. It was a typo in your thing. Sorry, we corrected it for the presentation. Thank you. I apologize.
Yeah, I believe it's just incorrect on the PowerPoint slide. At the secondary level, of course, you're growing at all grade levels, and your middle schools, you can see, are you've got about 5,132 students in your middle schools as of this past fall. And next year, we're going to have about 5,400. That's a growth of about almost 300 middle school students. And you'll notice by 2020, virtually all of your middle schools will be over. Now, I know you're opening a middle school in the near term, so the boundaries are going to be readjusted, which will solve some of these overcrowding issues at your middle school. At the high school, we've got Byron Nelson that's going to be overcrowded next year, and then within a couple of years, Eaton High School will be at about 2,500. And you can see in 2021, in about 5 years, you're going to have 8,175 students enrolled in your high schools. I'll summarize and answer some questions. Of course, the Fort Worth economy is very strong. Our unemployment rate is well below 5%, which is doing much better than the state's unemployment rate. Northwest ISD has started more than 480 new homes in the first quarter of 2017. That's the most since the first quarter of 2006, and that's back when we were in our previous housing boom. With more than 1,600 new home starts in 2016, the district could be on pace to close well over 1,500 homes again in 2017. 4 subdivisions within Northwest ISD had more than 100 annual closings. Northwest ISD is expected to enroll more than 25,500 students by the fall of 2019. And Northwest ISD can expect an increase of approximately 6,200 students in the next 5 years. That'll put your enrollment in 2021 at 28,377. And in 10 years, the district could have more than 35,000 students enrolled in the Northwest School District. Be happy to answer any questions.
That last bullet, this is very relevant because most of our bond presentations we're working on last quarter information. The 35,300 is about 2,000 less than what we told folks just from
There's definitely some unusual things happening in the housing market right now. And part of it is a lot of the job growth that's coming is coming from the West Coast. The Toyota corporate headquarters is relocating from California to North Plano. And some of those folks are looking into the Northwest area, even though that seems kind of far away, but it's really getting much easier to get across the northern part of the Metroplex. If you haven't taken the 635 toll road through there, it is a breeze to get through that. And 4 or 5 years ago, 635 was a nightmare. Now 635 is a piece of cake. Now I know that's not, it's further north there, but 121's getting better. The getting across is getting much better. As soon as they get this fixed here on 114, that'll be a little bit of a challenge.
I appreciate your report each time, but I think this issue of transportation is another issue that we would be great to have a report on, because I think moving around is as much of an issue as getting the children in the right spaces, and it's transportation dollars as well as safety. And so I just would think it would be nice to hear.
I know we're working on a kind of a master plan with Tim. The challenge you have is you've got multiple cities, multiple counties. You've got all these jurisdictions to try to navigate, to try to piece together all of these road problems. When I was with Keller ISD, we had an issue where half the road was in the county and half the road was a city road, and then it was just a near battle to try to get that section of Keller Haslett improved, and it's still not improved to this day. And so those become the challenges, is the different jurisdictions and their ability to get the funds, to get the roads built.
I was just curious where the Wellington development is at 507. I've never heard of that one. I was just curious where it was.
That's the one right across the street.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So it's on the west side of Willow Springs.
Well, it's always our pleasure. We're accessible to the district at any time. If you think of another question or any other information that you'd like, don't hesitate to send it through him or Dr. Warren, and we'd be happy to respond.
Any other questions?
I'd like to just make one additional comment and thank Bob. We're just really close to being able to release a attendance map that Bob's been working with us on, so that our communities can log on to the website, enter their address, and it shows their feeder pattern by the whole pattern by school. And so I know that's something that Rob's department and my department has struggled with in the past in answering those calls and trying to match maps with boundary patterns, and now we're about to have the ability to do that, and Bob and his team have helped us create that. I think we're working with Adam to make sure the logistics on the technology for the website is ready, but we're hopeful to launch that here very, very soon, and you'll see that announced on the website, and I just want to be able to thank Bob for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Item B under reports is staff survey report. Dr. Warren?
Board, we had our friends at the Service Center come in, and we had our staff report, the survey conducted. Board, we're very glad to give you these reports. I think I told you in my comments to you for the board meeting, districts our size don't see numbers like this, and so I'm very pleased with it. So we're very pleased to have our friends from the Service Center come. Mrs. Conklin, any statements? Okay.
Good evening. Thank you for having me back again, Mr. Board President, board members, and Dr. Warren. And we'll quickly go through the staff survey. The staff survey was administered early March, just before spring break. We were hoping everybody would be in a good mood. We had close to 1,500 respondents. There were 86 statements on the survey, 6 demographic, 66 close-ended, and 14 open-ended. And every category had a score of 82% or higher. And looking at the demographics for the teachers and staff members that responded to the survey, as you notice, most were up between 3 and 5 and the 6 and 10. This one is for participation rates by campus and location. And so you see the school that had the highest rate of return was Pike Middle School. And as we look at the data overview, we wanted to remind everyone that we make them make a choice between strongly disagree, disagree, agree, and strongly agree. And as we look at the categories graphically, you'll see that shared values is your highest category, which is great. It means everyone's on the same page, followed closely by engagement. And as we look at feedback and recognition and career growth and training opportunities, just keep in mind for pretty much every organization, those two are the lowest categories. And this just gives you a different graphical picture. The blue is strongly agree, and the yellow is agree. And as we look at that from a longitudinal perspective, you'll see that most of the categories stayed pretty consistent since last year. As we move to engagement, you'll notice that 98% of the staff members are really proud to work for Northwest ISD. 97% are very satisfied with the work that's done here. And this is the 4th year as the highest category. And as we look at shared values, excuse me, I went a little bit too fast, got ahead of myself. So we look at shared values, that's up 94%, and that is up over last year. And 99% believe that employees are courteous and professional with each other. And there's also a 2% increase in meeting the needs of all students. As we move into leadership, ,96% of the staff members said that their supervisor has high expectations for themselves and for others. And this was at 89%, slightly down from last year, but sometimes there's just a little bit of movement. And as we look at communication, that had an overall rate of 87%. And very little difference in the changes. And this year we also asked how did they prefer to receive information from the district. And the staff e-newsletter came in far ahead of everybody else in that that's how they prefer to get their information regarding the district. And just a little, we didn't put this in here, but you have it in your other report. It was interesting that the 60 and over preferred text messaging. As we look at feedback and recognition, you see that there was a 3% jump and that Northwest ISD recognizes employees for their quality work and accomplishments. And as we look at work environment, that was the 89% overall rate. And 7 of the statements have a 90% or more agreement on that. So we look at career growth and opportunities. This category was one of the second lowest, and we talked about that earlier, with the overall agreement rate of 85%. And these were the two statements on here were the two lowest, the two that took the biggest hits, but those numbers are still really great numbers for professional development. And as we look at quality service, you had an overall agreement of 90% in that one, which is up from last year slightly, with increases in workplace. When they have questions, they get answered in a timely manner. And I remember last year when I was here, the paperwork was a concern for the board, and there's been a positive trend in that area. Again, as we look at district communications, we see that in the strongly agree is how they like to get their information, that they think these are effective ways to get information to them. But again, at 96%, these were really great numbers. There was a question added this year for the Health and Wellness Center. And out of the people that responded to the survey, 56% said that they use it, and 23% said that their dependents use it. And here, this is how they feel about working in public education. And far and above, you have 95% that feel really great about working in education. Thank you all for your time this evening.
Anybody have any questions? That was pretty thorough.
I have a quick question. Was this, I was just wondering, was this also done specifically by campuses so that if they saw any area they need to improve in on that particular campus, it would show up on the survey?
Yes, ma'am. So the data is disaggregated for the district as a whole and then for each individual campus and department.
And I know we appreciate the fact that you've been on it. And is there also a space at the end perhaps for your content? Comments or ask anything?
And district leadership has access to the comments, so each major section had comments attached, and district leadership has access to that.
And we had some very colorful comments on various and sundry things.
Oh,
So, thank you, President.
And again, how does this data go back to how did these data go back to the teachers?
What we did was we disseminated this with principals. We went over this with principals, and then Emily gave each building principal and each department executive director their portion of that, and each of them were to address their staff, to go over the results with their staff. And again, there's not a lot of statistical differences in there. There's a couple of things that we know we're going to work on. But that's the reason why we did this, is just to identify those things and to be able to set some goals for next year per campus and per department.
I just think valuing your input and knowing that they get the report back is helpful. Was my
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That moves us down to item number 12, which is anything removed from the consent agenda, and there was none. That brings us down to lucky item number 13. Ms. Holland, would you join me up front?
Yeah, let's get everybody down there for a picture.
One more time, please. My family. For a fabulous 9 years. This is my other family right here up here with me. And I'm enjoying getting to serve these many years together with these folks. And as always, we appreciate the support that we receive from the staff and from our communities. And it means the world to us to have this kind of backing. And everyone in this room makes a difference. And I just feel like a small part of it, but I've enjoyed it so very much. And I'm very, very grateful and honored and privileged to have been a part of it.
Given so much of yourself to the various committees, the Finance Committee, you've been out there as a great spokesman for our district. I miss your personal comments, and I think it's one of you bring great value to this board. You've been so sweet, and I love having every minute of your time.
Thank you, sir. I learned so much from all of y'all, and I'm just eternally grateful. I continue to support you. I'll be your biggest fan, your biggest cheerleader from the sidelines. The team works very hard.
I would like to echo some of Mr. Schluter's comments. There's not a bigger cheerleader for the district out there than you. You're everywhere. You're just a joyful personality, and you're just such a great ambassador on behalf of this district. And I know that you will continue to be on behalf of this district. You welcomed me in with open arms when I came onto the board 8 years ago, and it's just been a blessing to know you and to call you a friend. And I know you're not going to be on the board with us anymore, but I know you'll still be in our community, and I'll be glad to have your friendship. Thank you for your service.
Yes. Well, from the Warren family, thank you for being part of the Open Rocks here. We really do. We think we're blessed. We really do. We think we're blessed. It's funny because like the first 17 board meetings I attended as the new superintendent, Devon was there at every one. And I thought Mark had asked her to follow me, just to make sure I was serving for everything I needed to. But she was a member of every single one of those boards.
Dr. Martin is out there, his community, counting that paper for all of us.
Now, this is not a get out of jail free, but this is a gold card for you that you never have to pay for another NISD activity, especially baseball games. That gets you to everything, right? You're welcome, but we really do. The children have been well served.
Thank you so much. This place is going places. It's a fabulous place to be in the district as we continue to excel and exude excellence in everything that you do. Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Moving down to Board President's Report. First thing on the agenda is something I should have had last time, but we need a Board Officer Nominating Committee, and I'll look for any volunteers that want to serve. Josh?
I'd be happy to volunteer. That's the pleasure of the board.
Okay, Josh and Dr. Simpson. Did you say something, Dr. Roush? No? Okay. I just didn't want to ignore you. Typically, we've had 3, 2. I could volunteer Mr. Fuller.
We do have one missing board member tonight.
Yes, and I will volunteer him. Mr. Fuller will be the third. What he gets for skipping. As far as district-wide activities, we've got a lot of activities, as you were given a list, I think, the last couple of board meetings. You have at your board desk again the packet for the TISB Summer Leadership Institute. That's coming up June the 22nd through the 24th. I always enjoy a lot of these courses and a lot of the local board members that we relate to. So,
Mr. President, question on that. Can we turn this in at the next board meeting? Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, Jennifer said yes. Good question, Josh. Do not procrastinate, though. There you go. If you remember, we have a meeting date to canvass the votes. We're going to plan to meet at 6:30 p.m. at the principal's office. Some of you guys are very familiar with that. At Byron Nelson High School on Tuesday, May the 16th. That's right before the board trustee awards begin at 7. So I think we've all agreed to meet there about that time. Right. And if you can't make it, we just need 2 board members to represent a quorum on that. So I think we'll have plenty. We have Board of Trustees awards coming up May the 16th, May the 18th, May the 23rd at Byron Nelson, Northwest, and Eaton, respectively. They will be at 7 p.m. each of those nights. So, again, that's also on your schedule. Are you going to talk about the graduation stuff?
I am.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'll skip that then.
Okay.
Also, we'll remind the board members, I think everyone has one of these. These are the list of the committees that we'll also be volunteering for. So if you're happy where you're at, if you want to change, we can talk about who wants to serve on what committee you want to change. No, just think about it. And I did want, are you going to recognize those that got reelected or elected, or do you want me to cover that?
You may.
Oh,
yeah.
well.
I'd love for you to do that.
I want to first say congratulations to the incumbent board members that got reelected, Dr. Roush, Mr. Fuller. Also recognize Steve Sproles out in the audience, who will be our newest board member come May the 22nd. So welcome to the group. We're excited to indoctrinate you and get you filled with all kind of information.
That sounds like a true Aggie.
I know. And my last comment is for John. So the next time you say $100 million, would you at least pause to say $100 million? You say it so easy, like it's $5 coming out of my pocket. But anyway, yeah, really.
Yeah.
All right, moving down to the superintendent's report, Dr. Warren.
Okay, a couple more things on your calendar board. This coming Thursday, May the 11th, we're trying a new ceremony. The PTA, the district-wide PTA, is holding their award ceremony at 6 o'clock in the Student Union at Northwest High School. We'd love for you to come by and recognize those kids and the staff that they're going to do that. And not the biggest news of that night, but one piece of news of that, Mrs. Warren is going to become the vice president of this group, so Lord help us all. She will be indoctrinated into the PTA. And then, okay, graduation, as Mark just alluded, you have a packet for graduation on your place. Here's the information is there for you for the days of graduation. You have a menu from, where is it from, Jennifer? Johnny Carino's is our usual meeting place between graduations. Please, before you leave tonight, fill out your supper requests and give them to Jennifer so that she can have everything ready to go for us. And then, if you'll just tell us, we'll have Suburbans at the ready if we want to drive over there together, or if you want to drive yourself over there, we'll just make sure that we have enough Suburbans ready for us if we want to carpool on the 20th, on the graduation night. So. You also have, Jennifer is doing a great job of making sure you have the district events calendar on there. You got a lot of activities going on between now and the end of school, so feel free to show up to any ones you have. We still have some exciting things to still watch. We have 2 teams still in the playoffs, Eaton girls softball, Northwest boys baseball, and a lot of other things going on right now that are very exciting, and just recognizing a lot of staff right now and kids. That's all I have, Mr. Schluter.